On my 28th birthday, I found out from Facebook that my family threw a surprise party for my sister. Caption said, "The only one who deserves celebrating." I commented, "Nice cake." My mom replied, "At least someone's worth baking for." I smiled, replied, "Enjoy it while you can." That same night, I made one transfer, sent 2 emails. 12 days later, my sister screamed when her landlord called and said, "Your rent's candled." On my 28th birthday, I got a Facebook tag while sitting at my desk eating leftovers. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a few happy birthday messages or a meme from Maxine, my sister. Instead, it was a full gallery of photos from what looked like a very expensive backyard bash. White tents, tables with navy linens, catering trays, a neon sign over the fence that said Maxine Con 2025, and right in the center, a custom cake with her name in gold cursive. "To our star, Maxine." The caption under it read, "The only one who deserves celebrating." That was posted by my mom. There were 2-0, some photos, all smiling faces. My parents, Maxine holding a glass of champagne, her co-workers, even Uncle Rick and Aunt Laura made the drive-in. Not a single mention of my birthday, which was that exact day. I commented, "Nice cake." My mom replied within minutes, "At least someone's worth baking for." I didn't even react right away. I just sat there looking at those words. I remembered that text from Dad 2 weeks ago. "Hey, we need a little help. Something special for someone. Can you send $500? I didn't even ask what it was. I just transferred it. Now I knew it went to shrimp platters, monogrammed napkins, maybe even the gold icing on Maxine's cake. The same Maxine who, just the night before, had been drunk in our family group chat and called me a loser. "Imagine being 28 and still figuring life out," she typed. "At least one of us isn't a total disappointment." Then she dropped a gif of someone still clapping. Nobody said a word. No one even deleted the message. I didn't say anything either. I just read it, put my phone down and sat there while Jess, my girlfriend, asked if I wanted to go out for dinner. I told her I wasn't feeling it. I just wanted to be alone for a bit. That night, after she went to sleep, I sat at my laptop, opened the banking app, the joint family account, the one that started last year, when Dad got his hours cut and Mom said it would help us all stay afloat as a team. Except the team was just me. Every paycheck, I tossed in a few hundred. Meanwhile, my parents would contribute maybe $12 every other month and act like it was a generous gesture. I transferred everything out, clean. Not a cent left. Then I sent 2 emails. One was to Maxine's landlord. I'd helped her set up her lease last year. She couldn't figure out the documents, and I'd co-signed just to speed things up. The other email was to the property manager. It was short. "I'm withdrawing from financial responsibility for Unit 3B effective immediately. Termination of future rent payments is non-negotiable. Please advise the tenant to make other arrangements." 12 days later, Maxine called my parents screaming. Her lease wasn't being renewed. The landlord told her rent hadn't been paid, and there was no indication it ever would be again. She had 3 weeks to get out. An hour after that, my phone rang. It was Dad. I didn't answer. Then Mom ignored that too. Maxine texted me a single word. "Why?" I smiled and closed the chat. "Because you drank champagne on my birthday. Because you called me a loser in front of the only people I was stupid enough to think might defend me. Because you spent the money I gave you for a celebration and it wasn't mine. And because that was only the beginning." Maxine didn't even try to hide her smugness when she moved back in with our parents. She posted a story the day after the landlord told her to get out. Picture of her room back home. Caption said, "Sometimes life throws you curveballs. Thank God for family." Right. The same family that didn't text me on my birthday. The same family that used my $500 to throw a party for her and didn't even flinch when she called me a loser in the group chat. Now I was the villain for making her deal with consequences. The silence lasted maybe 36 hours. Then, it started. First, a text from Dad. Hey, so about Maxine's situation. Any way you can help her get a new place? Maybe just the deposit first month. She's under a lot of stress. I didn't answer. A few hours later, Mom tried. Honey, she's just going through a hard time. You know how she is. Still figuring things out. If you could help her get back on her feet, we'd all be grateful. No mention of the $500. No apology for the party. No explanation for that Kate caption. The next day, Dad sent me a long email, and I mean long. He tried to dress it up like it was all about keeping peace in the family. He even quoted something about not letting resentment win. But the bottom line was simple. Maxine didn't have a place to live, and they didn't want her staying in their house. Not for long. His closing line was, "We thought maybe you could rent something short-term for her, just until she's back on track. She's saving for her first car." I replied, "She got a raise. Tell her to figure it out." That was when the gloves came off. Maxine sent me a voice note. Said I was acting like a lunatic, that I was obsessed with punishing people. She actually said, "Just because no one cares about your sad little birthday doesn't mean the world revolves around you." She ended it with, "Grow up." Mom started texting Jess, my girlfriend. Sent her some saccharine message about hoping she's aware of what she's getting into. Tried to make it sound like concern. Jess screenshotted it and handed me her phone. Said, "You ready to be done with this?" I was. That weekend, I told my parents to come pick up the rest of Maxine's things from my place. I'd kept some old boxes from when she moved out, mostly stuff I should have thrown away. I told them this was the last time they'd be invited inside. My dad looked at me like I'd shot someone. My mom did her usual fake crying. Maxine didn't even come. She sent a group text saying, "Let me know when it's safe to go near Kyle. Wouldn't want to end up in a freezer." I changed every lock on my house that night. Had the locksmith Ricky the garage too. Installed cameras front and back. I wasn't playing anymore. They stopped pretending after that. No more soft guilt. Just public shots. My dad posted on Facebook about how it's sad when one member of your family lets money turn them into a monster. My mom commented, "We did everything for him. Everything." Maxine went on Twitter and wrote, "Imagine your big brother making you homeless and thinking he's the victim." Then came the last straw. They contacted Jess's mom. Said they were worried about Jess, that I'd become unpredictable. Her mom, bless her, just laughed and sent us a screenshot of the message, but I was done being calm. The next morning, I made an anonymous report. I knew exactly what to say. Things I'd overheard growing up. Things I wasn't supposed to remember about my dad's side hustle in the early 2000s. About the cash work he bragged about that never saw taxes. About my mom getting relief while pocketing money under someone else's name. I didn't even need to lie. Just pushed a few buttons. Gave them something to look into. 2 days later, a car showed up at their house. Not unmarked, not subtle. My parents told the police I was delusional, that I was mentally unstable. My mom said I was inventing stories out of spite. The next day, I blocked all their numbers, changed my email, shut down every way they could reach me. But I wasn't done. I had one more move to make, one that involved the money they still owed me. 4 months of Maxine's rent, I paid out of pocket. Nearly $5,000. They thought I'd forget. I filed the lawsuit the following Tuesday. I didn't file the lawsuit to win. I filed it so they'd have to show up. It was small claims. $5,000, even for Maxine's rent. 4 months' worth, all documented. I had the bank transfers, the signed lease agreement, even screenshots from when Mom texted, "Thank you for helping your sister out." She really needed that. They ignored the first notice. I expected that, but when the second one came and Maxine texted me, "You've got to be ***king kidding me, I knew it hit." She sent another message 2 hours later. "You don't need that money. You're just bitter." No denial. No apology. Just another reason why I was the villain. At the preliminary hearing, only Maxine showed up. No lawyer, Just her, with a folder she clearly printed the night before. She tried to say it was a gift, that I offered to help, and was now just using it against her. The judge asked if there was any written agreement. I said, no, just text messages and a bank record of me covering the rent in full each month. Maxine tried to cry, said I was destroying the family. The judge asked her one question. Did he ever say the payments were gifts? She said, he didn't say anything. Judgment in my favor. $5,000 plus a $110 filing fee. She didn't look at me as she left. Just slammed the door on her way out of the courtroom. I didn't see my parents after that, but I heard from them. They messaged Jess again, told her she should be ashamed to stay with someone who ruins his own sister's life. Jess blocked them this time. She was over it. The part they didn't realize. I still had the receipts. Not just the literal ones, the digital ones. All the private crap they'd thrown at me in DMs, family chats, emails over the years. The things they said behind each other's backs. Things they thought I'd forget. I put together a neat little file. Nothing criminal, nothing illegal, just the worst of who they were. Their hypocrisy, their arrogance, the way they weaponized kindness and called it love. I sent it to everyone they knew, every friend they bragged to, every coworker, every aunt, uncle, cousin. I sent it anonymously from a burner email, just titled, Thought You Should Know. By the end of the week, Maxine had deleted all her socials. My dad made his Facebook private. My mom stopped posting completely. The silence was deafening. They say family is everything. They never said what happens when you stop playing alone. But I wasn't done. Not yet. A week after the emails went out, the fallout started leaking back to me in bits. My cousin Becca sent a single message. Holy times tea. That was it. I didn't even ask what she was talking about. I just replied. Took long enough. By then, Maxine had already nuked her social media. Instagram gone. Facebook wiped. LinkedIn frozen. She always said her online presence was her brand. I guess she didn't like what people were seeing. The burner email had done its job. The file I sent included screenshots from the last 5 years. Conversations, DMs, emails, and the text I saved from when Maxine borrowed money from 5 different relatives and never paid any of them back. Mom's manipulative guilt trips. Dad's rants about coworkers and those people on welfare while secretly collecting cash for under-the-table jobs. It was all real. All their own words. I hadn't even included everything, just the highlights, the pattern. Turns out people pay attention when the Golden family crumbles. Aunt Carol stopped liking Maxine's posts even before they disappeared. Someone from Maxine's job messaged me anonymously through Reddit and asked if what I posted was true. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. That silence from my parents didn't last. First, my mom showed up at my house. Didn't call, didn't knock, just stood at the door like I owed her something. I watched her on the camera feed. She looked smaller than usual. Maybe it was the absence of control. She left a note in my mailbox. It said, "This has gone too far. You've made your point. We are still your family." I didn't read the rest. I threw it out. 2 days later, my dad tried calling from a new number. Left a voicemail, like we were reconnecting after a misunderstanding. He said he forgave me. That families go through things. That, at the end of the day, you're still our son. He paused, then added, "We can fix this, Kyle. Just stop what you're doing." And that was it. That was the real problem. Not that I'd done anything wrong, just that I stopped playing my part. I wasn't fixing things anymore. I wasn't covering rent or filling the silence with apologies or pretending Maxine's cruelty was just her way. I didn't burn the bridge. I just stopped holding it up. So, I kept going. I reached out to a girl Maxine used to live with, Sophie. Back in college, Maxine bailed on their lease and blamed the whole thing on her. I'd remembered the drama. Sophie had posted about it on Facebook once, but it vanished the next day. Probably one of Mom's cleanup calls. I found her email. Told her I was sharing stories. Told her there were more people listening now. She replied in under 10 minutes. Said she still had the screenshots, still had the emails from the landlord. Said Maxine cost her $2,000 in damages and killed her credit for a year. I gave her a platform. I started a subreddit, private at first, then public. I titled it r/the Golden Child Files. I posted one story a day. Not mine at first, just Sophie's, then a cousin's, then someone Maxine used to work with. The thing grew fast. People who never met Maxine saw pieces of their own lives in it. The scapegoats, the forgotten siblings, the ones who did everything right and still got blamed for the fire. Maxine's name was never used directly, but everyone who knew her knew. Someone from her office messaged me on Reddit, said people were whispering. She was coming in late, snapping at coworkers. HR had to pull her aside. I didn't even post that, just saved the message. I didn't need to twist the knife. I just let it sit there. Then, I got an email from a law office. Subject: cease and desist. They didn't even use my full name. Just a vague threat about defamation, reputational harm, and unlawful digital harassment. I printed it, framed it, hung it in the hallway near the door. The caption underneath reads, Exhibit A, when the truth hurts. I wasn't done. Not even close. The cease and desist didn't scare me. It didn't even piss me off. It just made me laugh. These were the same people who taught me that life was a game of appearances, that what mattered most wasn't being good, but looking good. The same parents who told me to keep my mouth shut when Maxine got caught stealing in high school because it would ruin her college applications. The same ones who smiled through every holiday while quietly reminding me to let her have the spotlight. Just this once. I learned manipulation from experts. I just never used it until now. The subreddit took off. People were messaging me daily with their own stories, not just about Maxine, but about their own families, their own golden siblings. It became a place for the forgotten to finally speak. I started moderating it less as a revenge platform and more like a support group, but every few days I'd drop a little gem, something from my vault. Nothing fake, nothing exaggerated, just a new angle to show what it felt like growing up as a shadow in your own house. It wasn't all public. Some things I saved just for me, like the message Maxine sent through a mutual friend. You need to stop this. You're mentally unwell. This is harassment. I replied, You drank champagne at a party paid for with my money on my birthday and called me a loser in front of our entire family. This is me remembering. She didn't respond. Then my parents started showing cracks. Aunt Carol told me at a family gathering, which I obviously didn't attend, that my dad sat in the corner drinking bourbon and muttering about legal trouble. My mom apparently cried when someone brought up my name, claimed I was brainwashed by Jess. That was their new theory, that Jess had turned me against them. So they went after her. They messaged her job anonymously, said she was living with someone dangerous and that they might want to review her associations. Cowards didn't even have the guts to use a name. Just vague nonsense, hoping to stir up something. But they picked the wrong woman. Jess walked straight into her supervisor's office, showed them the email, explained everything. They backed her without hesitation, even offered to help report the harassment. She sent them a reply from her work address. Thanks for the concern. He's doing great. You should try it sometime. After that, I was done with subtle. I pulled my last file, the one I'd saved from years ago. My mom's side hustle. Fake invoices she used to run under a consulting company that never existed. They weren't even good fakes. I still had the Excel templates on my old laptop. She'd used my printer to make copies. I'd watched her walk into the credit union and deposit one with her fake business name scribbled in blue pen. Statute of limitations, maybe. But tax fraud doesn't age well, especially when the IRS gets curious. I didn't send it to them. I sent it straight to the source. Attached a short note. Family taught me everything I know. 2 days later, they both went silent. Not the kind of silent where they regroup and come back swinging, the kind where you realize the house is on fire and you've got no exits left. Maxine's friends started peeling off too. One of them messaged me. said, "She's not who we thought she was." I didn't say anything back. I was busy with something else, building a case. By the time the IRS letter reached their mailbox, I had already started collecting what I needed for round 2. It wasn't just about getting even anymore. It was about letting them sit in the mess they built the same way I had to for years. While they made excuses for Maxine, while they made me the backup plan for every bad decision, while they sucked me dry and called it support, the house they lived in, half of it was mine. Grandpa left it in both our names, probably thinking we'd share it or sell it someday. My dad promised to take care of the paperwork, and I let him. I was 22 when Grandpa died. I didn't know how things worked. A few months ago, I pulled the deed. He never took my name off, never bought me out. They just acted like it was theirs. So, I gave them a notice. Legal, official. They had 30 days to buy out my half or sell. No more free passes. No more hiding behind, but we're family. The day the notice arrived, Maxine posted one last thing before her socials disappeared again. A black screen with white text. Some people will do anything to destroy their own blood. That post lasted for minutes. I was one of the first to see it. Then she vanished. Jess and I started planning a move. Out of state. Clean start. I'd been thinking about it for a while, but now it felt real. I'd finally cut the cord. Every part of it. The house, the history, the fake loyalty. My dad tried one more time. He called me after ignoring everything else, like the lawsuit, the eviction warning, the police questions about Mom's consulting work. He left a voicemail. His voice sounded thinner than I'd ever heard it. "You don't have to do this," he said. "You're going to regret pushing everyone away. One day you'll be alone and we won't be here anymore." That was supposed to scare me, but I'd never felt lighter. They spent years using silence as a weapon, withholding kindness like it was currency. Now I'd taken everything they thought they controlled, the money, the secrets, the narrative, and turned it inside out. They tried to ruin my reputation. They failed. They tried to shame Jess. They failed. They tried to threaten legal action. They failed. Now Maxine lives in a rental she barely affords. My parents are sitting on a house they can't pay for without me. Their successful child isn't speaking to them, and everyone around them is starting to ask questions they don't have answers for. And me? I check the subreddit sometimes. Still growing, still full of stories from people like me, people who gave everything and got spit on. People who woke up one day and realized they weren't angry. They were done. This is my last post. I won't update again. If they ever talk to me, it'll be in court. Until then, I'm fine. Better than fine. One update. A lot of people have been asking what happened with the money. So, here's your update. After the judgment in small claims court, Maxine had 30 days to pay me the $5,000 plus fees. She didn't. She ghosted the court, ignored follow-ups, sent me nothing. So, I filed for a lien against her car, the new one she was so proud of, the one she bought herself with that raise. Turns out her financing paperwork listed her real address, my parents' house. That made things easier. I also started garnishment proceedings through her job. I didn't even have to make noise. The court did the talking. Her employer got the papers, and suddenly a chunk of her paycheck started rerouting itself back to me every 2 weeks, like clockwork. She tried to fight it, claimed financial hardship. Her lawyer, finally a real one this time, contacted mine and said it was disproportionate retaliation. I didn't care. The money wasn't the point. The principle was. She called me a loser while spending my money. Now, she gets to chip away at that debt every payday, reminded each time she opens her banking app. As for the house, the one I co-own with my parents, they stalled. First, they said they couldn't afford to buy me out, then asked if I'd consider pausing the process. They even offered to give me $3,000 as a good faith gesture. That offer came in the form of a typed letter with signatures. I framed that one too, right next to the cease and desist. So, I went ahead with a forced sale. The court appointed a real estate mediator. My parents can't stop it now. They either buy me out at the appraised market value or sell. No more fake tears. No more someday. They had years. I'm done waiting. I'm also filing a claim to recoup damages for property expenses I've covered since 2018. Taxes, maintenance, repairs I paid for when Dad forgot I kept the receipts. The number's climbing fast. We're past $17,000 now, and that's before interest. They're bleeding money, trying to keep their image intact. Maxine's checks are lighter. Mom's spending more time trying to fix things with people who've already stopped returning her calls. Dad, last I heard, was asking around about early retirement. Might be forced, depending on what the IRS decides to do with the paperwork I sent. It's not about revenge anymore. It's math. Simple, clean, and finally, for once, fair. Let's see how they handle fairness.